So I don't know if you've heard already, but before I get into it, shout out to Attila the Q for sending me this story. And the first thing I responded to via email to them was, "Do you hear what I hear?" In which they replied with the violin emoji. I swear my subscribers know me so well. But anyway, in case y'all didn't know, well, two things. One, Gabrielle Union was a host for the show America's Got Talent, in which I never watched the show, so I really didn't know that she was hosting it or whatever. But what you probably didn't also know is that she was recently fired from that show. And from what I'm hearing, she didn't voluntarily leave, which means she was pushed out. Now we're going to get into this story and we're going to find out why she was, and also why this is her karma. Gabrielle Union fired from America's Got Talent for speaking up about racism and sexism. Gabrielle Union will reportedly not be returning for the next season of America's Got Talent, and it turns out that the Being Mary Jane star actually did not leave on her own terms. Today initially confirmed the initial news of Union's departure from the hit competition show, only mentioning that the actress will be busy in the coming year with quote-unquote other projects. However, according to Love B. Scott, Union, who was a judge for one season, was fired after speaking out against some problematic quote-unquote situations that were taking place behind the scenes of the popular talent competition series, including racism, sexism, and more. Her co-judge Julian Huff will also not be returning for the next season. Union's contract was not renewed after being the number one talent on the show, NBA and network TV. A source from NBC told the site about her departure. She set the record for her golden buzzer. They only replaced the women and blacks at Simon Cowell's whim. She wouldn't walk away from a $12 million gig because she was quote-unquote busy. Based on weekly interactions on social media, by the time AGT finale aired, Gabrielle was the number one talent on network TV for 2019. Why not pick up someone's option in extreme success? The insider added that Julianne and Gabrielle were both way higher ranked and engaged than Howie Mandel, who was still employed at the show. The idea that the network wants to switch up things only applies to women and black folks, the source claimed. Nick Cannon wasn't crazy. He walked away from 8 figures over how AGT operates. As previously reported, Nick Cannon claimed in 2017 that he was threatened with termination by executives after calling out NBC's racial bias during a stand-up special. The comedian and entrepreneur eventually decided to quit his hosting duties on the show in February 2017. Gabrielle has not publicly commented on her departure. Now, I will give Gabby this before I get into why this is her karma. NBC most likely does have a racial bias, because I remember when Nick Cannon did leave the show, but he left on his own terms. He left before NBC and the people over at AGT had a chance to fire him. But I believe Nick Cannon's net worth and business endeavors supersedes whatever it is Gabrielle Union has going on. So Gabrielle Union was in no position to just leave on her own accord. Could it be some racial bias there? Most definitely. Could it be some gender bias? Possibly as well. But here's why this is Gabrielle Union's karma, and why it's very hard for myself and many to feel bad for her. Gabrielle, back in 2016, there was a scandal that came up. Not about you, but a scandal nonetheless. About a man by the name of Nate Parker. You know, the same guy that gave you a part in his Birth of a Nation film that should have gone on and became a huge success. Well, it was a success in my eyes and a few others, but you know what I mean, a much bigger success than what it to the point where it could have been, you know, you get what I mean. But you added fuel to the fire by throwing him under the bus, another black man under the bus. and he gave you a part in his movie. Sure, it wasn't a big part, but you did have some screen time to it. The best thing you could have did back when all of that happened was not say anything at all. That was probably the best thing you could have did, but you didn't do that. You came out and said something, and something very inflammatory that wasn't even true. After this man gave you a job, and that's how you treat him. And now NBC has thrown you out on your derriere. Now I dare you, speaking of derriere, I dare you to say something inflammatory than more than what you said about NBC. I bet you yelling racism and sexism will not even work. Because guess what? It was racism that destroyed Nate Parker's film, the same film that you were a part of, that you aided in with what you said. Yes, we know that you were sexually assaulted and or raped when you used to work at Payless all those years ago. But guess what? Nate Parker was not the one that did it. As a matter of fact, Nate Parker did not rape anybody. But you had to come out there and say something against this man and add fuel to an already burning fire with your statement while you participated in his film and thought that people were going to be okay with that and think that people were going to forget that. We don't forget too easily over here. Gabby, you better be very damn lucky that you have a pretty solid career and also that you're married to Dwayne Wade. Because you, in some people's eyes, should have faded into obscurity years ago. And I'm not talking about after you got that part in Birth of a Nation. They're talking about before that. So you just better be very lucky that you have a solid career intact to the point where you could possibly always bounce back. And let's not forget, this could be common for other things too, because I've always heard that Gabrielle Union has a reputation for being a mean girl. That she has admitted to. She has admitted to saying that she used to be the mean girl or everything like that because she thought that was the best way to get her best foot forward in Hollywood. And when you look at some of her mannerisms and her demeanor, I can see why. At least she was honest and truthful about that. But Gabby, this is a piece of your karma right here. This is a wake-up call for you. It is what it is. I and many others can't feel too bad for you. Maybe if you were more of a nicer person, a more respectable person, we would feel some type of way about what you're going through right now. Because like I said, it could very well be racism and sexism, but it's very hard for us to feel for you when you did what you did back in 2016. That was seen as being a traitor, especially since this person gave you a job. They didn't have to do it, especially since you were probably one of the biggest stars in the film name-wise. Everyone knows who you are out of everybody in that film. You even had a bigger name than Nate Parker. Everyone knew who Gabrielle Union was. Not everybody knew who Nate Parker was. This was supposed to be his coming out party right here. And you, ma'am, helped ruin that. So I feel absolutely nothing for you in your situation that you got going on right now. I'm sure you will bounce back from that. I mean, I thought you were working on some show with Jessica Alba. What happened with that? Wasn't that supposed to be coming on this year or something like that? And you saw how they covered up. They said she's working on she's busy working other projects. They quickly squashed that when they learned what the real deal was. So Gabby, are you lying about that too? I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.